Welcome, dear leaders from all over the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei to this month's Network 21 Connect live stream Leaders Meeting. I am Nika Rivera from the culinary capital of the Philippines, Pampanga. I hope you all had a good Saturday morning and get ready for a great afternoon as we listen to an amazing leader in the Amway business. She will be sharing with us her experience and know-how of the system used in this business so that we can further develop our leadership and help build a culture of counseling, no crosslining, and edification. Truly a great opportunity to be here. So allow me to congratulate each and every one of you for being a 5+ VIP qualifier to this Network 21 Connect live stream leaders meeting. Well done, leaders! And now, let me share a bit of a background for our Emerald Direct from Malaysia. Miss Selin was in university when she was first shown the Amway marketing plan in Sydney, Australia. After graduating, she returned to Malaysia and continued building the business. In the early days, she built whilst working in an international hotel chain and thereafter went self-employed in the events management industry. Mr. Peter was a producer in the film industry. As an avid lover of motorcycle adventures, surfing, and sleeping, Peter witnessed how the lifestyle of a successful Amway business owner facilitated the enjoyment of all that without sacrificing the financial responsibility of providing the best for his family. After getting married, Peter and Selin continued developing the Amway business together with the support system of Network 21 and were able to free themselves from their traditional businesses in 2.5 years. On top of achieving time and financial freedom, the serendipity from building the business has been priceless friendships formed with their team members through working together towards common goals. What helped them in their success? Having a strong dream, humility, and a willingness to develop new skills via the education program of Network 21. They also believe in having a deep commitment towards following the footsteps of those who have succeeded before them. It is my honor to introduce to all of you our speaker for this leaders meeting, Emerald Direct from Malaysia, Miss Selin Ang.
Hello and greetings from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Well done for watching this segment right now because it means you qualified for the leader session. To those of you who are watching this for the very first time, bravo to you. I hope everyone's excited for the months ahead and the rest of 2023. Now, for the leader session today, what are we going to talk about? Edification, counseling, and no crosslining. The objective, of course, is to help all of us level up our leadership and to grow our business. Now, I've put up this slide that describes the different levels of understanding application of these 3 principles, and you may want to ask yourself, which level are you at right now? Perhaps some of you, you're so brand new, you're like, what's edification? Well, you're going to find out more today. And perhaps some of you are on level 2, you know these terms, but you haven't quite started practicing it yet. That pretty much still puts you on level 1. And the rest of you, maybe you already know the term, you've been practicing it, but you're kind of like selective in applying it. And after being in a business for a while, we know how important these principles are, and maybe you have decided to deliberately practice it and not be selective anymore. And ultimately, where we all want to be is to be able to apply these principles instinctively. It becomes a part of us, and I suppose that's called mastery, right? Now, these topics are actually quite complex, and I want to just highlight a book and a few audio references that you want to look up. And the first one, the book is It's Simple, Not Obvious, and you want to turn to chapter 8, and it says, What Am I Missing? 3 Foundations. Now, written by the founders of Network 21, Founders Crown Ambassador Jim Donnan. You really need to read it to have a full picture of these 3 topics, but also you can jump into the audios. I've listed down some audios spoken by legends in our business, people who have built very large businesses, and you want to get their perspective on these topics as well. Not forgetting, in your local leadership, I'm sure if you just search in your N21 mobile the titles Edification or Crosslining, counseling, you will find, local leaders speaking about them as well. Why am I highlighting this to you? Because these are so important, and I'm not a professional speaker. I'm just going to do my best in trying to share with you in a very simplistic way what these principles are and how to apply them, okay? Now, before you apply anything that I share though, please clarify with your coach because your coach knows you best, they know your business best, they know your circumstances best, and I may miscommunicate something to you or you may misunderstand. So it is vitally important that before you apply anything that you seek their clarification, okay? Now, let's jump straight into it. So edification, I was looking up the dictionary on how to define edification so I can explain it to you. And the more I read, the more complex it became to explain. So I thought the best way is to share it with you via examples, okay? And when it comes to edification, what can we edify? Well, we can edify a product, and you're going to understand it as we go along, okay? Now, we can edify something verbally. For example, if I want to edify a product, or if I want to talk about a product, I could say this is SA8 laundry detergent, or I could say this is SA8, an effective laundry detergent without harmful fillers, making it safe and great value for use. Okay, so with the second statement, obviously you know a little bit more about SA8 as a soap powder. There is benefits added to it. There is certain features shared about it, and hopefully it will make you curious to want to try SA8. Okay, now how else can we edify the product? Use it. I use SA8. I hope you do as well. That's important for our credibility and taking it a step further. When we think about products in general, right? Do you have any doubts, about SA8 or any products in Amway, or what do you think about in terms of pricing, quality of the Amway products? And personally, I feel it's important as a business owner to clarify, for me anyway, any doubts that I have so that I'm effective. I'm going to give you a funny example, and this is a G&H hand soap. And confession, in the beginning when I joined the Amway business, I actually thought, the Amway products are a bit pricey, especially this one. And I couldn't understand, how can this be priced? I'm not sure how much it's priced in your market, but here is definitely several more times more higher than the brand X product, right? So I thought, I'm going to buy this, and I want to prove to myself, and I want to find out, what is the value of this product. And when I bought it and I started using it, I found out, if you've been slicing garlic and onion, you can get rid of the odor from your finger very effectively using this. But what really got me was, if you look at the neck, the length of this neck is really short and the opening is really small. And each time when you pump, it's only a small amount that comes out. So I've been, having this on my sink, and I've been using it and using it and using it, and it just doesn't seem to run out, okay? And with this, my experience, it helped me to be convicted about the business, about the value that it offers, the products that it offers, and encourage you to do, the same, to find out more. If anything bugs you, make an effort to clarify that doubt, okay? And then you'll be a convicted person, okay? So for me, I have no problems recommending this to anyone that I care about. And also another example is the eSpring. Initially I thought, do we really need a water treatment system? Is there a difference between eSpring and other water treatment systems? I mean, when we go out, sometimes we don't drink our water treatment, treated water. So I started researching and finding out more, and I wanted to really convince myself. And when I was convinced and I understood the importance of having eSpring, that's why I have a big bottle here. Not only have I started using it, but I made sure my brother who lives in Macau, my brother who lives in Sydney, and my mom who lives in Sydney use eSpring as well. Okay, so those are, to me, different levels of edifying a product. Okay, and moving along, I'm just going to use another example here, edifying a person. And when we all start building this business, there is people who are who's helping us build the business. And for example, if you have set up a plan and your upline is so kind to come along with you to show the plan, we know our friends don't know our upline any more than a bottle of soap. Okay, so it is important that we edify our upline to our prospect. And the example here on the screen, verbally we can either say, "This is Adam," or we can say, "This is Adam. I'm thankful he's here to help us with our discussion tonight. He knows the subject matter much better than me." So you can see the difference, right? This is Adam or Lalida. Okay. And the second part, adds, understanding of who Adam is, what he's capable of doing. We've lifted him up, in a way promoted him, and to enable Adam to be effective in actually helping us and helping our friends. Now, what's also important, to follow through with actions. So if we say Adam's role is important, well, make sure we pay attention when Adam is explaining the plan and not playing with our phone, sending texters, walking up and down, right? Or even arguing and questioning Adam. Because if we do that, our prospects or our friend will be thinking, "Hey, wait a minute, on the one hand, you spoke highly about Adam, and on the other hand, you don't behave in a manner that shows that Adam's important." And that would actually discredit our verbal edification. It would discredit who we are, and neither me, ourselves, or our upline will be effective in helping our prospect. Okay, now taking it a level further, wow. Eventually, you're going to know your team well, you're going to know your upline well, and in any relationship, in girlfriend and boyfriend relationship, husband and wife relationship, initially it's just bliss, and then after a while you realize, I don't like that, I don't like this, and we somehow, slip into focusing on your weaknesses, and oh boy, this is so important that we realize, wait a minute, guard our minds, beware, in complaining about them, publicly or privately. This is not a good idea, because again, for me anyway, it will affect how I think about Adam and how I'm able to work with Adam. And this is not to say that we can't have opposing views with our upline and it's just yes all the way. But if something that doesn't, if there's a problem, a miscommunication, yes, of course, discuss it in private, clear it up, but do it in the sense that there is mutual respect and trust with each other. Okay. And why is this important? And what is the conviction that will flow through? Well, obviously, when we speak well of a person, we act well, align with what we say, and also we have good thoughts about them. Somehow or other, that comes across authentic, and the conviction is the trust and respect in our upline, in our team, in our business is transferred to the next person, right? And why is this important? So that at the end of the day, we as a team, upline, line of sponsorship, we are effective in communicating something to the brand new person. The brand new person gets the result, they win, you win, and your upline wins. So it's a win-win for all. Okay, I hope that makes sense, right? And jumping on to another example, edifying an event. Okay, so we could say this is there is a weekend leadership seminar in June, or we could say there is a weekend leadership seminar in June that will allow you to gain an international perspective from the guest speaker, since you're interested in building a global business. You will also be able to tap into the secrets of how busy professionals like yourself are able to use the Amway Business and Network 21 system to create time and financial options. Okay, so two different statements, and obviously I think you get the point now. When we edify something, we want to add more information to what we're edifying. We want to add more value to it, more benefit to it, so that there is value or attraction to the person who is listening to us to want to try out the product, to listen to the person that we're working with, or to attend events that we're promoting. Similarly, ensure that we follow through with our actions. So if we say the weekend leadership seminar is so important, well, number one, do you already have your early bird pass? And at the event, are you always on time? Be early, yeah? And I would encourage you to be early and not to be rushing all the time. And are you paying attention during the function, right? Are you present? Are you taking notes? And I'm going to say something, refrain from texting, taking calls, but also taking it a step further in terms of your thinking. And I've been guilty of this, and I think it's quite natural for us when we're listening to someone to somehow be critiquing. Like you may be critiquing me now, right? You may not like, the way I speak, what I'm saying, how I look. And I would encourage you to set that aside, because you are going to be at the loss. Similarly, I was at the loss when I was distracted by, okay, maybe someone's grammar. Hey, I don't have perfect grammar. The key is to focus on the content, what's being said, how can it be helpful for us, right? And I've also learned, what I wrote down, there is always someone for something. Now, what do I mean by that? I've attended events before, as I said, guilty of like thinking, oh, that speaker is not so good, and the content's not so great. And guess what? After the event, when I ask around my downlines, who do you like? What did you like? What were your highlights? There is always someone who liked something that I didn't like. And I learned, whoa, better to zip my mouth and not to just pass on comments, because there is always someone who likes something that somebody else said. So I really discovered in an event, it really doesn't matter. There is something for everyone, and there's someone for everything. All right. And lastly, the conviction will flow through if you have your early bird ticket. And not only that, you want to ensure that the people that you care about have their early bird ticket as well. And when you're promoting, that way, your thoughts, your words, your action are all aligned, then you are more convicting. And what is it that we know about powerful influencers? What do they have in common? Let's say Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, and Gandhi. And this is what I noticed. They are all very congruent in their messaging, what they say, what they do, how they live their life. They're all aligned. That's why they're so convicting, and that's why they have integrity, and people are moved by them. Okay. Now, so caveat about edification. Now, if you have been in the business for a while, you've started experiencing edification, and the higher you climb in this business, the more you're edified. I'm just going to share something with you which is personal, which I think is important. And I wrote it down. It says the moment we expect to be edified is the moment we're unworthy of it, because the spirit would have shifted from a spirit of gratitude to a spirit of entitlement. And I think personally, I think that makes us ugly. I mean, we all know people who, demand to be recognized in the public, right? It could be a CEO of an organization, a managing director, and somebody like, don't you know who I am? And how do we feel about that person? Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just sharing with you how I feel, and it's a constant reminder for me. Thanks to the amazing examples of leadership in Network 21, they are often humble in public and in private as well. Okay, and let our being who we are speak for itself. And just a tip about edification, I've learned this from the audio, and edification is like breathing. When we breathe in and we're receiving edification, and we keep breathing in and we forget to breathe out, boy, boom, we'll be in trouble, right? So, what I've learned about edification, when I'm edified, the purpose of me being empowered is so that I can empower somebody else, something else, the event, the tool, the system, so that person or that tool is helpful to the person that we are speaking to. Okay? Now, I'm going to jump on now to counseling. And what is counseling? So essentially, it's getting perspective from someone with vested interest in helping you get to where you want to go. So vested interest just means win-win. If you win, they win. So in order for my upline to have any benefit from me, he has to ensure that I benefit, that I win. Okay, if I don't get any benefit, or if I lose, they don't stand to gain anything. And if I'm not growing, I'm not advancing, I'm not benefiting in any way, why would I stay in the business? So this relationship makes it unique, where whatever advice they give us, we can have the comfort of knowing that it is advice that's going to help us, okay? Not advice that's going to harm us. And when we take on that advice, it's going to save us, and it has saved me a tremendous amount of time, money, heartaches, and regrets. And I'm just going to give you an example of areas of counseling, and I'm going to start with a broad area. And I learned this from my Founders Crown Ambassador to have Mitsala, to have something called a 10-year timeline, which is in a way to know, where am I heading in life in these 7 areas of life. So this is something dear to me. Please check upline. You may have different areas you want to focus on. And essentially, why are we building this business? The business creates more time, more money, and the process of it gives us more wisdom in order to live life by design, okay? But then what is the design that we want? And you can counsel on this as well. Sometimes we don't know what is possible for our health, what's possible for our finances. And it's great to be able to have insights from someone who they've been where we want to go. And unlike traditional business, when I was in traditional business, there's no counseling. Who can counsel me? Yeah, maybe someone with a bigger event business than me before. But why would they counsel me? Because, they would be my competitors. So in our business, it is so unique that we have this privilege of counseling. And I really encourage you, to sit down with, people that you respect upline to you and get perspective from them. How to design a life, what are the possibilities for you, okay? And from there, of course, when it comes to business counseling, it's simpler. Well, thanks to the vital signs in our business. And this is what we work by. And again, check upline, what works for you. So in terms of business counseling, having a 3-year goal, by the end of this financial year, what would you like to achieve in terms of pin level, numbers of people at the function, how many legs you want to have. By the next weekend leadership seminar, what T badges do you want to be recognized for? What are your monthly goals, weekly goals, and daily goals, okay? And some tips about counseling. Yeah, number 1, like I said, you want to know where you're heading, and the counsel is about guiding you towards where you want to go. And now some tips here, I wrote down sympathy or empathy. What does that mean? So when you counsel and when I'm asking for advice, I want to be clear, what is it that I want? Do I want sympathy from my upline, or do I want empathy and advice and apply the advice, okay? So I'll just give you an example. I had a downline, and this was in the area of health, and she wanted to lose weight, and every time she would hit a roadblock, or she would just constantly say, I can't do this because I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I empathize with her. All right, I understand. Okay, you don't have time. You don't have a regular working hour. And your mom is always eating, junk food, and it's always around you. Like, I empathize and I understand. And because I also work with other people with similar situation. And the thing is, when I attempt to share, others with similar challenges who have overcome it, and also point to some audios, materials to help her, I realized that she doesn't want any of this. She rejects them. And not only that, she gets angry with me for giving her, examples, accusing me of comparing her with somebody else. And oh boy, I came to realize that she wasn't really looking for advice to progress, but she just wanted sympathy. And if we want sympathy from our uplines, yes, we're going to get it. But what's that going to do? It's not going to enable us to move forward. Okay, so I hope you are clear. What are you looking for? Now, question or questioning. Okay, what's the difference? When my upline gives me an advice, I could question to clarify, what does he mean? And that's very different from questioning, which means I doubt what he says. I'm like, I don't trust what he says. I doubt what he says. I challenge what he says. And, in the beginning, my upline could take the time to explain things to me. And perhaps if trust is not established yet, yes. But over time, if I keep questioning my upline, he will eventually get, fed up with me and probably not counsel me anymore. And if we remember the principle in our business, in order for us to succeed, we got to help somebody else. And similarly, for our uplines to have any benefit from us at all, it would mean that we succeed. So obviously, whatever the advice they give us will be in our best interest, okay? And the next one, do you want to be right or do you want to be rich? And I'm not just saying rich, I'm just, do you want to get your goal, whatever it is, which is more important to you? And I know to people with strong character, like myself too, cholerics, whenever we ask, which do you want? We want both. Okay, now I'm just going to say, if you've been right all the time, but you're not getting the results that you want, then maybe your right, my right is not right after all. Okay, so perhaps we can relax a little bit, and instead of focusing to be right and be argumentative, why not focus on how can we get the results that we want? Okay, and lastly, when I have a question, I like to also think about the solution so I can present it to my upline and hear his input as well, and to realize, my thinking was on the right track, or my thinking was off track, and that allows me to improve. And why is it that I want counseling for my upline? Because I want to learn the way they think, because they have the results that I want, so that I can think like them and work and get into action to create the results that I desire. I hope that makes sense. Okay, now lastly, what is no cross-lining? What is a cross-line? Okay, now it's very simple. If you're super new, find out who's your upline, who sponsored you into the business, and they are upline and they are upline, and you would know who you brought into the business and subsequently your downline. Now, so whoever who is not upline to you or downline to you, they have your cross lines. Okay, now, so when it comes to cross lining, what does no cross lining mean? Well, we just spoke about getting perspective counseling, but here is talking about not getting perspective from your cross line, right? Why? Okay, I wrote that your cross line do not know everything about you and your business, okay? And they may not understand the context of your question or your challenge. And I'm just going to give you an example. And I wrote that, advice from a doctor. Now, I want you to imagine there's two person with cough and sore throat, and they both went to two different doctors. Okay, and one of the doctors gave one patient antibiotics, the other one did not, and just say, well, go home and rest and you'll get well soon. Now 3 days later, this particular guy got well, and this one is still ill, and they started talking. And this guy said, oh wow, you got well really quickly. What happened? Oh, my doctor gave me antibiotics. And he said, antibiotics? How come I didn't get any? And they say, oh, wait a minute, let me give you my antibiotics. Okay, you already know, that's not a good idea. Why? And this person does not know, actually, why did this doctor didn't give this person antibiotics is because he had a viral infection and this person had a bacterial infection. So, different problem, like the symptoms may be the same, but the advice would be completely different. And this is an example of cross-lining, right? An upline may be telling this person to do something, and you may say, how come my upline doesn't ask me to do that? Or maybe my upline's lousy, but that's not the case, because you may have different set of circumstances and challenges which is different from this person. So can you see now why it's so dangerous to cross-line? And in terms of parents, right, you don't want other parents to be giving your kids advice, because the plus minuses, what your kids are doing and not doing, not the other parent. And in terms of relationship, boyfriends and girlfriends, right, husband and wife, whenever we have one party complaining, it's just one side of the story, and we can never give good advice if we don't know both parties, both sides of the story, what's exactly happening. And in the context of business, it's truly our uplines who know exactly what's happening. And also, what's important, cross lines don't have vested interest in our business, and it's easy to just, give an advice and not be accountable for it. So how much thought would have gone into that advice? Right? I'm not saying that, cross lines are no good. They are good people and with good intention, but you just want to think twice about getting advice from them, because, like I said, there's no accountability if anything were to go wrong. Okay. Now, lastly, why no cross lining? Also, I don't want distractions in my mind. I don't want to be confused. I don't want to have any doubts. And I'm just going to use the example of running a race. So when we were in school, we were running races, and every time when we run a race, the teacher would say, don't look left, don't look right, just look ahead and run your own race. Because whenever we look left or right, we slow down. Okay, whenever I'm not thinking about my business and I'm thinking about someone else's business, That's silly. That's time taken away from my business, okay? And so in terms of confusion, now I'm just going to use social media and I'm just talking about me, okay? Now, in a world of social media, anybody can post anything and it can look good, but we really don't know what's behind the scenes. And just to quote you an example, like recently we were in Japan and we saw a couple taking, photo and trying to get the perfect shot for their Insta, I suppose. And we drove past and half an hour later, we came back the same way and they were still there trying to get the photo. Now, if you saw the photo, you'll look like, oh, that's a nice picture, but you have no idea how much time, effort went into creating that perfect shot. Now, similarly, when we follow Crosslines and what they're posting and what they're doing, we don't really know the context of what they're doing, how much effort is it, is it going to be suitable for us, why are they doing it? And, I don't want confusion. I look to my upline, what's my upline doing? My upline has the business that I want anyway, so why bother? But also I want to share with you on screen, an advice, a very, very important advice that Founders Crown Ambassador Mitch Salah shared with me, and I'm passing it on to you. And please check upline as well. And this is a quote by Crown Bob Andrews, and it says, the only thing worse than a bad idea is a good idea. Like, what does that mean? Well, as I mentioned, you may look at something online that looks good and, maybe I should try that. Maybe I should do this. And you keep changing your strategy. And what Mitch told me is at the end of the day, it's the application of an idea that counts. And it says when it comes to application, like showing the plan, right? You apply it to hundreds of people and you do it thousands of times, and if you do anything that many times, you would still get results. Yeah, and it's not just about trying something new out for 4 or 5 times and then evaluate it. Okay, so my advice, which was given to me, and I'm just passing on to you, is keep your mind clear. I don't even subscribe to pop-up news. Because, gosh, I don't need clutter. I just want to focus on what's important for me, for my team, what's my upline doing, and, counsel with them, get clarification from them, and stay on my course. Okay, so I hope that helps for you too. And I'm just going to jump back again to the references. I hope I've explained the topics well, but I know there's a lot more depth in this book and in all the audios. Please listen to them. And I wish you all the best. I'm going to talk to you more in the general session. And I hope the session has been helpful to you. All right. Have a great year ahead. See you later.
Wow, such an informative talk about the system. I'm sure this will help many of our leaders gain more insight. Indeed, a predictable business because longevity and circumstances have proven that the system works. We are truly grateful for your time and your sharing, Emerald Selin.